So how are we doing, everybody? It's Monday morning, 12:35 a.m. here. Thank you very much for joining. I had a huge list of which topic to pick for the week, and settled on secrets of success for many reasons. G'day, David. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining. Um, One thing I want to mention, I'm sort of stretching it a little bit because we only got one person live from what I can see. I'm hoping that one or the other will find their way. Couple of things I want to mention. I had two emails from people who watched my first live last Sunday, and one of them was the image that I put up always got the Wealth for Life logo in it. Wealth for Life is my own personal registered company. It's a legally registered company in Australia. I registered that back in 2004 for several reasons. And g'day, George. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Um, and everybody wants your money. Catherine, beautiful. How is life in England these days? Great to see you. Thank you for joining. Now, when you're talking about the secrets of success, I guess if you ask 10 different people, you will get 10 different answers. Along the same lines, maybe, but if you go into detail, it'd be, sort of pretty much all the same. Now, Harvard University, quite a few years ago, did a study on some of the core principles of what we call successful people. And they listed the top 10, which I would like to go through them one by one, which I will call the 10 secrets of successful people. You see, successful people don't sit on the sidelines daydreaming. They do what they think about. They aren't afraid to get stuck in and take risks. Many ventures in life will never be 100% safe or guaranteed, but don't let risk stop you. Get out there and see what happens. What have you got to lose? More people look back over their lives and regret what they didn't do rather than what they did do. The second point, successful people have an unwavering self belief. Successful people do sometimes suffer from self doubt, sure, but they are very good at talking themselves out of it or not taking their thoughts too serious. Hi, Dana. How you doing, mate? Good to see you. Awesome. So instead of overanalyzing all that could go wrong, successful people concentrate on their strength. These strengths serve as a basic foundation from which they leap out into the wide world to show off their skills. Self-belief accounts for a large part of success. I have seen many people with lackluster talent achieve great things purely because of their self-belief. I have also seen super talented people waste their potential completely due to their lack of self-belief. Self-belief is a springboard, and talent influences how high you can go. Without self-belief, I think all talent is wasted. Point number 3, successful people don't care what others think. You see, they care very much about their own opinions, not in an arrogant, self-important way, but more in a faith-based way. Successful people know what they are capable of, and they have a strong belief system. The difference with their belief system, though, compared to the average Joe, is that their belief system works very much in their favor. They like themselves and they like what they stand for. They have strong ideals, values, and live a life that is true to what is important to them. It's easy to be wishy-washy when you don't have clear values about life. The fourth point is they always think outside the box. And I guess Ash is probably the prime example here, talking about thinking outside the box. Successful people don't tend to just accept life as the way it is. They constantly ask why, and they constantly look for ways to improve the way it is. They are leaders, not followers, and they are certainly not afraid to go against the grain. The more people tell them something can't be done, the more determined they become to give it a go. Point number 5. They're optimistic at heart. At the thought of a new project, successful people are looking at possibilities instead of looking at all the possible problems. They allow the delicate creative process to develop before adding in a rational and realistic forecast. Nothing would ever be invented or achieved at all if we started a project by looking at what could go wrong instead of focusing on what is possible. They look for the good in situations, and this attitude creates a strong mental buffer that protects optimists against the ravages of the negative aspects in life. And there's plenty of negativity out there, and I'm sure we don't even know 0.1% of what Ash has to deal with on a daily basis. From a personal experience, I had my successes in various areas of my life, and there's always somebody out there trying to find the negative side of things, or trying to talk you down, or try to talk down what you have achieved. But if you got a thick skin, like Ash obviously has, g'day Chris, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you. Uh, Point number 6. Successful people are resilient and not afraid of failure. Failure is seen as a clue to the puzzle. Why? Instead of internalizing failure, successful people see it as a necessary part of life. They do not see themselves as failures. Rather, they look at the task as maybe not working out. There is a clear mental separation between the person and the action. Failure is only a big deal if you make it one. Point number 7. Successful people possess a can-do attitude. Enthusiastic and always ready for a challenge, successful people are always looking and finding solutions. They are the fixers in life. They are not obsessed about fixing things that can't be fixed, though, and know when to back off and let something go. People with very low self-esteem, sorry, they tend to be the ones that find it hard to let go, as they associate themselves and the task as one and see themselves as failures if they are unable to fix the issue. However, successful people maintain a positive perspective and do not get carried away with their enthusiasm. Point number 8, and this is a big one. They take responsibility for their own lives. Successful people know that they are in their current position in life due to their own choices. If you don't take responsibility for your choices in life and tend to repeat the same old lines and try to blame somebody else. Oh, it's my parents' fault that I am the way I am. Oh, really? Parents do indeed influence us to a point, but instead of blame, successful people accept their misfortune and almost use their rough start in life to fuel them further. They want to achieve either despite or because of what happened to them. Another example. Oh, I hit you because you provoked me. You made me do it. Really? I don't buy it. Unless there's a gun to your head, you still choose how to react. You can't control others and their wayward thoughts, but you most certainly can choose what you do about it and how you react. Here's another good one. I had an affair because you don't pay me enough attention. Say what? I had an affair because you don't pay me enough attention. It's another cop out. Have an affair if you need to. I mean, who am I to judge? But don't blame somebody else. That's just ridiculous and shows denial at its very best. Even if a relationship is awful, you are still choosing to stay in it and therefore cannot blame your partner for the misery you feel. They definitely contribute to your misery, but it's not all their fault. Personal responsibility will always lead to happier lives for many people playing the victim game. The second last point about successful people, they're very self aware. They know their strength and they know their weaknesses. Successful people have a healthy respect for themselves and they know what they're good at. They also know what they aren't that good at. They have no issues in admitting to their weaknesses either, but they are good at capitalizing on their good bits. Absolutely. Half the planet is playing victim nowadays. David, you said it. Perfect. And those people, you know, they always find somebody else to blame. Always, always, always. However, the successful person sometimes may sound superhuman to us normal, average people, but they aren't at all. They just use their way of thinking to the best of their abilities and choose the thoughts that work for them. The last and maybe most important part, successful people will always give back. Truly successful people aren't completely out for themselves. They see the bigger picture and they give back to others. They have a set of healthy beliefs about others. They believe that people are generally good and not out to get them. People from unhappy and unsettled childhoods tend to grow up seeing the world as a mean, unkind place, and they are more likely to incorporate negative beliefs about the world. As an adult, it is important to question these negative beliefs and find out that they don't apply anymore in many respects. As adults, we have more sin life, and it's up to us to make the most of our lives. With a more balanced view of the world, we are far more likely wanting to give back. If we are angry and feel hard done by, we are far less likely to want to contribute positively to the world around us. We believe that we are out something, and victim mode sets in again. Look, we can't change what happened in the past. It's always very sad for me to witness people stuck in the past. They have negative memories and play them in their heads regularly as if it happened yesterday. All that does, though, is reinforce the negative emotions. Being mindful means telling yourself, I'm okay right here, right now. Living in the past gives those that wronged you, they give you the power again and again. Make a choice right now to stop allowing them to the power to upset you. If you do not feel mentally strong enough to do this, get the help of a counselor. It is possible. Being successful is far easier when we feel empowered, and believe it or not, we are all capable of feeling empowered without the help from anybody else. So these are all the different principles, strong points for successful people. My personal opinion, it's got to start with the right mindset. And at the end of the day, all of you are winners already the very day you're born. How do I know? I'm a winner too. Hey, look, out of millions of sperms, you're the one that made it. right? If you wouldn't have made it, you wouldn't be here today. G'day, Vicky Barker. How you doing, mate? And who have we got? Patricia. Great to see you. So, you've been, already. Mindset. I'm thinking back I'll give you a couple of examples in a minute. You mix with certain people, you eventually become those people. I'll give you an example. In my heydays as a DJ, I mean, I was the man. I was literally rolling in it. I was making so much money those days. I had free accommodation, I had free meals, um, free pretty much everything. I was earning in those days the equivalent of around, I'm talking, my God, I'm talking roughly 40 years ago. I was earning probably the equivalent to $1,000 a week. What did I do with the money? Ha, man, you gotta laugh when you're young and stupid. Now I'm old and stupid, but when I was young and stupid, I blew it. I bought cars. BMW was my favorite. BMW brought a new model out. I had to have it. But it's 80. I don't care how much it is. I don't care how much it is. I could afford it. I finished work at 5 a.m. in one of the nightclubs I was working for over 2 years. Jumped in the car, and this is in Germany, by the way, and jumped in the car and we went across the border to have breakfast in Holland, the Netherlands. Did some crazy shit. You got absolutely no idea. Mixed with party animals, became a party animal. My so-called friends back in those days, they were all party animals. I mean, I remember one night, three of my so-called best friends back then, and myself, four of us, we killed 5 bottles of Bacardi. I was so damn sick the next morning. I I woke up with one of the most massive hangovers ever, and I started to sort of look at myself in the mirror back then. And is it really worth it? You know, you become who you mix with. Change your circle of friends. Involve yourself with people you want to be around with. Successful people, I hope. Um, Secrets of success. Look, life hits us very, very hard, especially in these days. The pandemic has caused an awful lot of people to lose their jobs. Many factories have closed, many businesses have gone. And yet, you always get this argument, but you don't understand. I'll give you an example. On Wednesday, I did my grocery shopping. And whilst I was doing my grocery shopping, this guy walks up and slaps me on the shoulder. And, hey, Tom, how you doing? I haven't seen you for such a long time. You got time for coffee? Finished my shopping. We sat down for coffee, had a bit of a talk. And he's telling me a really, really, really awful story. He lost his job, got divorced, wife left him, um, children aren't coping, lives with a friend because he cannot afford a place on his own, and so on, and so on, and so on. A really, really, really sad story. And I turned around and I said to him, I said, you know what, George, I'm trying to look at the positive in everything. And every experience you go through in your life, look at it as a chapter. Look at it as a new beginning where you are now. Things will only get better. But Tom, and there it came. But Tom, you don't understand. And I said to him, mate, if anybody understands, I do. To everybody listening here, I want to just give you a very brief version of what I'm going through personally at the moment together with my wife. If I told you that I have exactly around about $50 left right now as we speak, would you believe me? It's a fact. I lost the job that paid pretty much for everything we had around about 2 years ago. You guessed it, because of the pandemic. Now, at 65 years old, there's nobody that will give you a job, especially in a place like the Philippines. You just of no interest to nobody. Um, 4 years ago, Kathy, my wife, got diagnosed with an aneurysm in the right side of her brain. The reason I bring that up is that's what's that it's the beginning of the tough times. I had a fair bit in life savings, which I brought with me to the Philippines when I migrated here from Australia, and all my life savings went there and then. A normal standard operation only gave her a 50-50 chance of survival. However, a gamma knife treatment, which is the most expensive treatment for that type of illness, if you like, is has eaten all our savings. Right, we were basically broke at the end of it. She survived the operation very successful. She is in a good place now. She feels a lot better, but we sort of had to start from scratch again, which is why I took that job, the one that I lost about a couple of years ago. Now, to us, it was a huge success. The money didn't matter. I mean, what price do you put on somebody's life? You cannot put a value on anybody's life for that matter in money terms. And I said to Kathy, you know what? I said, once you're really well and up and running again, I'm going to take you to Australia. Kathy has never been out of the country. We've been to Australia 3 times, by the way. So whenever you experience any kind of success, treat yourself, reward yourself, no matter how big or small it might be. Now, the first time we went to Australia, this is very ironic, really. I went for a routine checkup because it's free in Australia, like where they check your blood and your this and that and the other and God knows what. I got diagnosed with a very rare blood cancer. Mate, I'm still alive. I'm still kicking. Still hanging around. It can't be. It can't be treated. Sorry, it can be treated, but it cannot be fixed. All right. And my way of treating it is by using CBD oil. So we've been through some pretty rough times, and we still are right now as I speak. You know, in the rough time. Now, on passive, we'll change all that, and I'm really literally hanging out day after day after day for Ash to push the start button. I must admit, I am getting a little bit impatient purely because of the situation that we find ourselves in. I started a GoFundMe page 4 weeks ago. My goal was $2,000, which would have, seen us through for the next 2 to 3 months. We got 15% of that. That's GoFundMe for you. If you don't advertise, if you don't get enough eyes on the page, obviously the donations will not come either. Now, think for a minute what Obless will do. The same amount of money, if only 2,000 people out of 1.4 million founders would give $1, that's still less than 0.01% of the total membership for now. Can you imagine how big Obless will be for a lot of people in the same situation as myself? It's going to be absolutely incredible. Hi, Theo. Good to see you, mate. I'll give you one more personal example about personal success. In 1999, I was offered a very lucrative job in Germany on a 5-year contract. I took that. I left behind one of my best friends in Australia, who I've been friends with since my early 20s. I'm godfather of his first child. We've pretty much done anything and everything together one can do in life. And his name is Doug. Doug was married with 2 children, and kept ringing up, kept in touch because social media and internet was not around those days as much as what it is today. And Douglas said, "Oh man, I wish I could come to Germany." I hung up on him, and then I thought, why not? And I set myself a challenge because the money I was on in Germany was pretty bloody good. So I set myself a goal that I would bring Doug, his wife, and the two children to Germany. Talking about a challenge, I had one job, typical 9 to 5 job, paid extremely well, as I said. I went back into DJing apart from Friday, Saturday, as I already did, 5 nights a week: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So now I was on a real good wicket. Got bugger all sleep, but I got the money together eventually. And here's what I did. I went to the travel agent. I had all the names and everything. I booked 4 return tickets from Australia to Germany and back home again. I sent them via registered mail to him without saying anything. I did not say anything to Doug and his or his wife. Now visualize this. I'm getting a phone call 4 a.m. local time one time whilst in Germany. Here is Doug crying. Young man, family man, crying. And doesn't know what to say and how to say it and keeps saying, is this real? And I said, Doug, this is real. I made myself a promise after one of our last few conversations that I will get you somehow. I will get you and your family to Germany. Now, it took a lot of sacrifice on my part and a lot of work to do this. But I tell you what, the eyes of the young children when they saw snow for the first time, the excitement they told me about when they were going on a big plane for the first time, it's priceless. Absolutely priceless. Did it make me feel good? Hell yeah. All the sleepless nights, everything was worth it. Peter, good to see you. Thanks for joining, mate. So, it, it doesn't matter what you want to do in life. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. Absolutely. You just got to have the right mindset. I describe mindset for me personally in one sentence: dare to be different. You see, one of my things my dad always said to me while I was growing up was be different. Those who are a little bit older can relate to this very well. I'm talking about the 70s, 80s, growing up. In our teenage years, we try to fit in, try to be like other people. We compare ourselves to those around us, and we're starting and trying to make sense of the world. What's right, what's wrong, what's cool, what's not cool, what we should or shouldn't do. And all that was based on what other people were doing. We based our judgment on the norms. Um, each time that I back my argument or request with something that suggested that I want this or it's supposed to be this way because the majority of people are doing it this way or all my friends are doing it, my dad would counter argue. Yes, but are most people and all your friends successful? Are the majority of us successful? No. Then why would you want to be like others? If you act, think, and do the things like the majority of people, then you'll end up being like the majority of people. That always encouraged me to challenge the status quo, to challenge the norm, to be different, to think about the impossible. He encouraged me to create, to act, and to pave a new path for myself and always take the road less traveled. Time and time again, we are influenced by the environment we live in and by the people around us. And it's only human nature wanting to fit in. But we tend to forget that we don't need to take the road that everybody else is taking. The traffic is bad where most people are. Build a new road. That's exactly what Ash is doing for all of us. build a new road. It's going to take a while, but when the road is done and you can travel on it, others can follow you too. And they will. You will help others avoid the traffic. You will have built a new road for the world. Now, the question is, will you plant more trees and roses along the side of that new road? Or will you leave it behind with some junk? Will you build a new community where people can build shops and houses? That's totally up to you. So then you get the question some every now and then. Johnny Simmons, good to see you, brother. Um, so how do you work on your mindset? Me, I must admit, I started from a very young age because I've always been a curious type of person. And I'll just give you a few examples, if I may. Hang on a second. Out of my library, these books are very, very, very old. Robert Schuller, Tough Times Never Last, Tough People Do. Think and Grow Rich. Oh, this is back to front. I have to change the camera somewhat. Bringing out the best in people. Dare to Win. One of my favorite, Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking. Done all this from a very young age. And one that I highly recommend, which is not so very well known, it's a book called Insights into Excellence. In 2001, whilst in Germany, after the trip from my friend, and I cut back on my working hours, I actually did get bored, believe it or not, with all the things I was doing. I did get bored. Funny that. So I started a Dale Carnegie course. One of the best things I have done in my life. If you ever get a chance to do, you know, maybe look online if somebody does it in your area. I highly recommend it. Dale's written a number of really, really good books. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. The Quick and Easy Way to Effective Speaking. And his probably best known book is How to Win Friends and Influence People. So these are some of the things that I've done in my past, and would I do them again? Absolutely. Don't get me wrong, I've done some real crazy shit as well, especially working the way I did and the lifestyle I was living in my 20s. Another book that I really, really liked is by Peter Daniels, who is Australia's probably most best known motivational speaker. It's just one thing that's a couple of things, but I'm keeping one for next week's live. But the one that I really liked is people always talk about problems. You go to work, what do people talk about? Their problems. You go and have dinner with somebody or coffee, whatever it might be, as it happened to me last Wednesday. People tell you about their problems. Peter Daniels once said, you think you got problems? Be absolutely grateful. The day you think you have no longer any problems, fall on your knees and pray to the Lord to give you some problems, because the only people without any problems in the world are the people in the cemetery. Dead right. So how do you get the right mindset? Read good books, mix with the right people, and also important, get advice from the right people. Example, if you run a marathon, if you want to run a marathon, who do you go and see? You're going to go and see that big fat neighbor across the street. I mean, we all got one of them that doesn't even mow his own grass because he's just too lazy. There are people like that, and this is not, please don't misunderstand, it's not means this in a denigrating way to big people. It's just, you know what I mean. purely for painting a picture. So do you go and see this guy and ask him, man, I want to run the New York Marathon. What do I need to do? Of course you don't. You go to somebody and see somebody that has such experience. Better still, you go and see somebody that has run the New York Marathon. And another example on that one, asking for the right advice. Let's say you want to go and buy a Ford. Want to buy a new car? Oh, I like Ford. I like Ford. I want to buy a Ford. So do you go and ask a guy that sells Toyotas or General Motors? Of course you don't. Okay. So feed your mind the right things, mix with the right people, get advice from the right people. We're almost done here. As every life, I intend to finish this one with a story. You all know or would have heard of Socrates, the Greek philosopher. Once a young man asked Socrates the secret to success. Socrates patiently listened to the man's questions and told him to meet him near the river the next day for the answer. So the very next day, he asked the young man to walk with him towards the river. As they went in the river, the water got up to their neck. But to the young man's surprise, Socrates ducked him under the water. The young man struggled to get out of the water, but Socrates was strong and kept him there until the boy started turning blue. Finally, he pulled the young man's head out of the water. The young man gasped and took a deep breath of air. And he asked the young man, "What did you want the most when your head was in the water?" The young man replied, "Air." And you see, my friend, that is the secret to success. When you want success as badly as you wanted the air whilst you were in the water, then you will get it. There is no other secret. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. The moral of the whole story, I guess, a burning desire is a starting point of all accomplishment. Just like a small fire cannot give much heat, a weak desire cannot produce great results. I'd like to thank all of you that joined me tonight. I hope you got something out of it. Next week, subject will be attitude. I'm trying to make it a bit more fun. Trying, okay? It's only my second life, still learning the ropes, so to speak. In the meantime, find that match that lights up your desire to succeed. And whatever it is you want to do, please do it with passion. Because I know you can do it if you believe. And you know what? If you really believe in yourself, you will be unstoppable. Thank you so much for joining. That's all I got today. The next webinar is starting in around about 15 minutes. You guys have an absolutely awesome week. I'd love to see you again next Sunday, same time, straight after Marty's Live. Thank you so much. It is very much appreciated. Bye-bye.